I'm Luke McCainley Gore.
And I'm Zephyr Shadow.
And today we're going to do some makeup and talk about how we each got our start in drag. So, my first time going to a show was like, I'm going to say like 6 years ago now. And it was one here in town that Tim Murphy and Gia Diamond and some other performers were at. Nobody from our house was performing. And I watched it and it was fun. And that was kind of like, then there was like 4 years where I had nothing to do with drag. And then one of my friends got me involved, got me to help out a little with some Pride Fest planning. And I ended up helping out a lot with planning that year. That would have been 3 years ago this summer? 4 years? 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 years ago this summer. And so I helped with the planning, and in that, there was a drag show that happened, and I was kind of helping out, like, overseeing all of the planning, bringing all of the advertising together, and somebody else was taking care of the drag show. But because I was kind of putting all the advertising together and stuff, I had a hand in every little piece, or a little bit of a hand. So I met Paris, who was in that show, and Lily Devine, who was coming up from Kingston. So Melissa, who was organizing the show, had Lily and one of Lily's other performers coming up from Kingston, and then was looking for locals to perform, and Paris ended up being the main, like, a local here, and we reached out, knew some people across the river, kind of put a call out, and we ended up with, I think Sam performed at that one, Paris performed at that one, Cody performed at that one, I think Crystal came but didn't perform. We kind of met a bunch of people, but I didn't have a big hand in it. I kind of just, but Lilith is Paris's out of drag name, so you'll hear me back and forth between Lilith and Paris, same person. So Paris and I became friends, and then that was in July of that year.
Okay.
And then in October, we started talking about putting on a Halloween competition. And I helped with all of the organizing, booking the venue, all of that. And very last minute, Paris asked me if I would be a judge in the competition. So I agreed to judge it. And then I helped with a few more organizing a few shows for Paris and the House of Gore, and I kind of helped out behind the scenes for about a year, and then Paris kept saying, you need to get on stage. We want you on stage, and I kind of joked around. I'm like, well, if I ever did, this would be the first song I'd ever want to do it. I'm like, I'd get on stage if you'll just give me a reason with me. So Paris and I had talked about that for a bit, and anyways, 2 years ago in August, I finally ended up going. Yeah, it was a very, very long journey, and I was involved in the back for quite a while before I even thought of taking the stage. I don't remember before, and I don't remember during. Like, I don't remember. I'm sure I was nervous. I don't specifically remember being super nervous. I recall vaguely being nervous, but I remember the elation when it was done and the audience cheered, and it was like I felt like I found where I was supposed to be my whole life, which was on the stage. It was, for me, the only clear memory I have of my first time performing is like when the song ended and the audience cheered and how I felt, and it was complete elation, and that's the only memory I have that's clear of the entire night.
I don't have that.
No. My memory in general is shit compared to yours. And I'm realizing how shit it is as we talk about this, because honestly, I don't remember. Like I said, there was a long-standing talk between me and Paris of me getting on stage and performing. Mm-hmm. But I don't, like, and that started in, like, October, and then my first time on stage was, like, well, I helped judge Drag Me to Hell in October 3 years ago now. 4 years ago now, because this would have been our fourth Drag Me to Hell. So 4 years ago now in October, I helped judge Drag Me to Hell. And I remember at that time, Paris being like, well, if you're going to be a judge, you have to ask the contestants questions after. And I just like froze. And I was like, okay, I can judge, but you expect me to talk on a microphone? Like I'm terrified of microphones. I can't stand talking on microphone. I have a hard time talking I love talking. I have a hard time public talking. But I did it, and Paris kept telling me, you did really good, and then there was like some talk of me going on stage, but I don't recall what pushed me so the following August, so August 2 years ago now, was my first time on stage. And I don't remember what the push was that I actually got on stage in August. But that's when I ended up on stage. I don't remember any of the conversations leading up to it. I just remember that August is when I got on stage. And I don't think either there was no theme for that show, or they told me not to worry about the theme for that show. And I don't remember what anybody else performed for that show.
I don't think there was a theme.
Well, I ended up doing, I did Country Girl Shake It For Me by Luke Bryan. Because for me it was a song I knew inside out. It's a song that I have danced to every time it's played. So I knew that I knew the lyrics. My only concern is there's this little bit at the beginning where he like talks before the music starts. And it's like, hey girl, get over here, or something like that. But it's not on any beat. It's on like half beats and in between beats. And I was so worried that I'm like, the first two lines that I lip sync on stage, I'm going to fuck up because they're not music. They're not with music. They're not, like, they don't fall where you would expect with the music. And somebody's like, well, just, like, kind of put your head down and put your hand over it or something, and that'll cover your mouth.
Hand over what?
Your mouth.
Okay, well, you said put your hand over it.
I put my hand up, so you could see.
I couldn't see.
But yeah, put your hand over your mouth a little bit, and that should cover you. So I did. But yeah, I definitely moved around to it a lot, so I was familiar with it. Okay, so that's how both of us started drag and some of our favorite numbers and first numbers. And that's it. So you have glitter on your nose. Right here. It's ingrained. It's not coming out. It's under the skin.
Joy.